Tonsa Wildkiller here, and we're back with another chapter of Always With You, a Zanvis fanfiction. This is chapter 8, I believe, and it's called A Sign. But before we continue, I would like to let you know this book has not been updated since 2016, so this will probably be the last chapter unless the author comes back to Wattpad to update this book. So this is going to be your last chapter until that happens. So, let's continue. This is starting off with Travis's point of view. I walked back into Zane's house, exhausted. Today had been quite hectic, with lunch with Aaron, moving my stuff into his house, and going out to dinner. I had just finished going out swimming, like I always do on Saturdays. Travis! Zane called out from the kitchen. Yeah, what, sweetheart? I walked into the kitchen to see Zane with a suitcase and a bulky jacket on. So, I'm sorry this is so sudden, but you'll be happy about this, he smiled, his mask resting beside him on the counter. I mean, as long as you're there, I'm happy, I replied, brushing my wet hair out of my face. Okay, so we're going on a trip with Afmo and Kaylin, he squealed. Since when did you become so happy? I replied. Not that it's a bad thing. Well, we're going to be sharing a hotel room, and, well, there's nothing else. It's just going to be up in Snowdon, which I'm really excited for, though it's really cold. Zane squinted his eyes and looked dead straight at me. Just like my soul. I snorted and tried to keep myself from laughing, which didn't really work. I burst out and placed my hand on the counter. Zane smiled and came closer to me. I stopped laughing and came closer to him, pecking him on the lips. He blushed and smiled. Go pack for the trip, Travis, and don't forget to bring a heavy jacket, Zane yelled quickly, changing the subject. I nodded and went upstairs into our bedroom. It was weird living in a house with him, since I've noticed a lot of things about him that I usually don't. I opened up the closet door and pulled out a box of clothes and rolled them into a green suitcase. I eventually was almost unpacking when I ran my fingers over a tiny box in my pocket. I pulled out the velvet jewelry box and hid it under all my clothes. This may the trip where I pop the big question. We'll see. I zipped my suitcase and backpack and walked down the stairs, setting it by the door. The anticipation of leaving already was getting to me. I was excited to see Afmal and Kaylin, sure, but I'm more excited to spend some one-on-one time with Zane. Walking into the living room, I sat down on the couch next to Zane. He looked up from his phone and smiled. So, when are we going to be leaving? I asked him. Probably 6 a.m. tomorrow, since the flight takes off at 10 a.m. I nodded and wrapped my arms around Zane, kissing the top of his head. He grinned a bit and grabbed a blanket. I wrapped my arms around him and kissed the top of his head again. Slowly, Zane started snoring softly, and before I knew it, I was asleep too, my arms around Zane. Zane's point of view. Travis! I yelled, reaching out towards the white-haired boy. He looked back at me, his eyes shining. I raised an eyebrow and laughed, and so did he. We came closer, and he kissed me passionately. I kissed back happily. We pulled away, and he slid a ring onto my finger. I blushed, and so did he. We walked out the white room we were in, out to a busy street. We kept running through the crowds of people until we reached the sea. Travis and I were running slower, as our hair turned to gray and wrinkles were on our faces. Soon we ran into the water, hands linked together, and we submerged ourselves in. I woke quickly, looking over at my phone. The phone displayed 3:42 a.m. I rubbed my eyes and snuggled back into Travis. As I closed my eyes, only one question was going through my head. What did that dream mean? And that's the end of it. Damn! That's a big fuck you to the face for a cliffhanger. So, um, you guys could just imagine what happens next based off that little dream that Zane had. So, yeah. Like if you liked, comment what you think, and subscribe if you want to. I'll see you guys next time if this book ever gets updated. If not, check out the other stories. Till then, see ya.